Welcome to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Lachelle Weemy, a peak performance coach and business strategist dedicated to helping you see what's possible within you, the blind spots that are holding you back, and the solutions to ensure success and fulfillment without the hustle. I use my secret sauce of metaphysics, brain science, and scripture to work with God to manifest your ideal life and business. If you're ready to create massive forward momentum in your business and bust through the blocks that drag you down, join me on the Spiral Up journey and create the clarity, confidence, and consistency to become the CEO that lives your life by design. It's time to create the sustainable impact, income, and time freedom you desire faster. Now is the time to spiral up. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Lachelle Weemy. It is so fun to be here. And I got to be honest with you guys, I had something completely planned for today's episode, but during my morning scripture reading in my Miracle Morning routine, I felt led to share something with you guys because chances are you might be feeling like this, or you're going to feel like this sometime this year. And let's just go ahead and get ahead of it right away, right? So one of the things that we've been doing here inside of the podcast is really concentrating on next year and our vision planning, our vision casting, allowing our dreams to come alive, allowing ourselves to put into action the things that are necessary to make those dreams come true. And I'm going to guess that some of you guys are maybe a little bit stuck, I guess, is what I wanted to say here, because I feel like oftentimes if we haven't gotten the success up to this point that we thought we would by now, it's really easy for us to start to doubt. It's really easy for us to start to wonder if any of this and all of this is for us. And if we start to doubt those things, if we stop believing that it's possible for us, it's really difficult for us to step into the actions that are necessary to make it happen. And I have been there, guys. I've been there in my business. I have been there in relationships. I've been there in my fitness journey. And if you don't believe that it's possible for you, it's really freaking hard to do the next thing. And so you might be listening to me in these last couple of episodes and you're like, Lachelle, yeah, I would love to dream bigger. I would love to envision all these things. I would love to execute the things that you've taught us. But honestly, like I'm starting to doubt that it's for me. I'm starting to doubt that I have what it takes. And it's really hard for me to dream because I have been dreaming and it's just been a big letdown, and it's just been not going as fast as I thought it was going to be. It's felt like I've either plateaued or I've gone, 2 steps backwards for every step forward. And I just don't get it. I just can't see myself in a bigger, better place because I've done that before and all it did is set me up for disappointment. And I got to just tell you guys, like I've been there. Oh my goodness, have I been there? And it's all normal. It's all part of the entrepreneurial journey. And I really, really want to just encourage you guys that there are going to be setbacks. There are going to be times where you feel like you are doing 2 steps backwards for every 1 step forward. There are times where you feel like you were stuck in quicksand or stuck in, I called it the, oh my gosh, what did I call it in my book? Like the pudding pool. Because it feels like you're just swimming against so much resistance and there's just no way you're going forward. And I just want to just take this moment to acknowledge you, to be like, guys, like I totally get you. And it's okay if you've been a little bit frustrated. It's okay if you've been discouraged. It's okay if you're feeling like, maybe this isn't for me after all. I just got to tell you that if you're here and you're listening to this episode, I am going to guess that this is exactly what God wanted you to hear, because again, this was not what my plan was today when I woke up and how I was going to record this podcast episode. But let me give you just a little scripture that stood out to me today in my reading that is going to be the foundation of what we're going to talk about. All right. So I am happened to be starting on the Gospels again a few weeks ago, and I am in Matthew, and it's Matthew 13 verse 13. Matthew 13, verse 3. And he told many stories in the form of parables, such as this one. Listen, a farmer went out to plant some seeds, and as he scattered them across the field, some seeds fell on a footpath, and the birds came and ate them. Other seeds fell on shallow soil with underlying rock. The seeds sprouted quickly because the soil was shallow. But the plants soon withered under the hot sun, and since they don't have deep roots, they died. Other seeds fell amongst the thorns that grew up and choked out the tender plants. Still other seeds fell on fertile soil, and they produced a crop that was 30, 60, and even 100 times as much as had been planted. Anyone with ears to hear should listen and understand. All right. So what am I going here? Where am I going here? One of the things that I have found is that especially when you're opening your business, when you're growing your business, when you're trying to scale your business, you're sharing your opportunity, you're sharing your product, you're sharing your service with people. And you might be in this stage where you're like, oh my gosh, like either people are not, hearing what I have to say. Nobody's clicking on my links. Nobody's liking or commenting on my stuff. Nobody is answering me in DMs. You might be in the space where people act interested or start to make those steps and then they completely drop off and ghost you. You might be in the space where people do sign up with you and they are ready to consume your services, your products, whatever the case may be, but then they don't actually do the required steps that are going to help with that transaction, that transformation. And so you're selling a product and the people aren't using it properly. You are doing a coaching program and people are not putting in the effort that they need to see the transformation. And then you start to doubt your product, your program, your service, yourself. And all of those things bundled together just can create this really big, deflating, defeating feeling. And you're just like, maybe I just don't have what it takes. Maybe people don't really want what I have. Maybe I'm just not a good salesperson or a marketer. Maybe I just don't have what it takes to give people the transformation that they need. And then all of those seeds of doubt start to show up and pile up inside of our subconscious. And that impacts not only what we do, but it impacts the way in which we do it, right? So let's just say that you are starting to feel all of this crap, this heaviness, this defeat, this doubt, this confusion. And you start to convince yourself that really you don't have what it takes, or people don't really want what you have. And so then you get the opportunity to talk about what it is that you do, and you sound inconsistent. You sound like you're not confident. You sound like you don't believe in it. And guess what? Like that is 100% a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's not always what we do, it's who we are while we do it. So if you are presenting what it is that you do to people and you're feeling that doubt and it's coming out in the way that you're communicating, people can sense that. And then it's not going to transform into something that they want to learn more about. And so you also might be in that space where like you have the opportunity to talk about it. You have the opportunity to mention it, to bring it up, to have that next step conversation, and you stop because you're like, oh, why do I even bother anyway? And I wanted to share this with you guys because I wanted you to understand that all of these scenarios are normal. Now, Jesus is talking about, the way that people understand the fact that he is here and that he was sent to save us, but this can also be applied to so many things, including your sales. And so you are going to 100% put stuff out there that is not for people, that there is not going to be everybody, right? Those are my people. Thank you. This isn't for you. So if you have people who are ignoring you, if you have people who are even like making fun of you to your face or talking about you behind your back, like they're not for you. And Jesus tells us right here in this first verse that some of those seeds on the footpath were just eaten up by birds. Like those seeds never even got to the people because it wasn't for them. Okay, so just know that this is a natural process. This is nothing wrong with you. All right. Then he talks about how some of them fell onto the shallow soil and they sprouted quickly, but because the soil was shallow, the plants soon wilted under the sun since they didn't have deep roots. Now, this might be, let's just say, back in my old days, I sold skincare and I sold something to someone because they started to see my changes in my skin and they're like, I want that. But then they never actually washed their face. And so of course they didn't get the transformation because they weren't doing what was necessary to make that happen. I've had coaching clients who have been given every opportunity to do the things that I've, advised them to do, or that they had committed to doing themselves through coaching and understanding the answer to their questions within themselves. And then they never followed through. They let things like fear and just all of the busyness and the inconsistency with their or disorganization get in the way of executing, and they didn't get the results that they wanted. That is a normal process. That does not mean that there's anything wrong with me. That doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with my skincare. Those people just did not have the deep enough roots. Those people did not have a deep enough why or a pain point that they needed to be able to execute what was necessary for the transformation to happen. And then he talks about other seeds fell amongst the thorns that grew up and choked out the other tender plants. Now, these are the people who just cannot maintain the thing that they have to do. So maybe they started out really good and they started washing their face, or they started executing everything that you had in your coaching program. And then they just, because of whatever reason, and I love brain science, so I'm just going to say that there's lots of reasons that we sabotage our own success, but those things can sometimes overpower them, right? Like maybe they had a major life thing that happened and it completely threw them off and they just didn't want to execute. Maybe they have a really deep underlying fear of success and therefore they sabotage themselves every time they get to a certain point. Now, I can have the best coaching in the entire world, but if that person isn't ready to start looking at those things and addressing them and saying, I'm no longer allowing this to hold me back anymore, then it's not going to work. So there are going to be times where people are doing really great, and then all of a sudden something comes in and it chokes out their progress. Again, that does not mean that there's anything wrong with you. They have to be ready. And one of the best pieces of advice that I was ever given was by one of my dear coaches, Debbie. And she said that I am responsible to others and I'm responsible for myself. That means that other people are 100% responsible for themselves and to me. So if their success is up to them, their failure is up to them. My job is to support, encourage, provide the tools, the knowledge, the expertise that they can use, but it's up to them to use them. It is a normal part of the process. And then the last one is still others fell on fertile soil, and they produced a crop that was 30, 60, or even 100 times as much as that had been planted. There are people that I have helped that have literally been able to quit their jobs within weeks of working with me, that had been thinking about it for years. There have been people who are now literally they're making 3 times as much on a transaction because of some of the work that we've done to rebrand or to shift some mindsets and allow them to believe in themselves enough to go to this next level. And they're literally getting 3 times as much for the same action as they were before. I have seen people who have been thinking about starting a blog or thinking about doing something for years, like almost a decade. And within just a short time of working with me, literally surpassed that goal and went on to something even bigger. So it's that, and because they started to believe in themselves, they started to recognize that they had it within them. So if I were to hold back, if I were to stop, if I were to hold myself back from talking about what it is that I do, if I were to hold myself back from offering what it is that God has placed in my heart to help people, then those people would not have been blessed. And those people are what make it all worth it. So I'm telling you this today because I want you guys to understand that since the beginning of time, this is how it is. And Jesus reminds us of this, that there's going to be lots of different scenarios that are going to happen when you get brave enough to put yourself out there and you get brave enough to follow him. He does not tell us that once we decide to obey and we are recognizing what he is wanting for us and that we are made for more and that this is where he's leading us, that everything is going to be sunshine and rainbows. It's not. This is not about you, friend. This is about the impact that you're going to make. And if you allow for a few no's, people that ignore you, people that make fun of you, people that aren't quite getting the results that you wanted, but some people are, then you need to continue to show up because those people that are getting there because of you. And if you allow for all of the things that are creating those sears of doubt in your heart to win out, then you are not going to be showing up to the people who have been praying for your help. Now, I know it's hard, but one of the things that I want you to do is consider, where are your wins? I want you to keep an inventory of the things that are going well. Oftentimes we get caught up in something called the gap. My coaching clients actually all get a gift from me every month, and this gift happened to be the book The Gap in the Gain by Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. And in that book, he talks about how we have this spot of where we are, and we have this gap between where we think we should be or where we want to be, and it feels so big. But what I want you to do is think about where you are from where you came from, and this is the gain, how much you've gained, how much knowledge, how much benefit you've given out. And when we can focus on the gain, that's going to help us when days get heavy and we get sucked into the gap. And so one of the things that I tell my clients to do is keep a folder on your phone or in your computer, or even like a desk in your drawer, or a drawer in your desk, of all of the testimonies, of all of the things that people have thanked you for. I love to use my highlights inside of my Instagram for this, because I can put those like client testimonials, like, oh my gosh, Lachelle, I can't believe that I just got 3 times as much money from this transaction. This is blowing my mind. And I take a screenshot of that and I post it in my stories, and then I save it in my highlights, my testimonials. Not only does that help me to get out the message that this is working for people, but more than that, it's for me, because I get to go back when I'm having a crappy day and I get to remind myself of the impact that I'm making. So if you're not saving those, if you're not asking your clients, hey, I need to know, like, where am I helping you and how am I helping you? Because I need it for me too. So I know what more to do of, and I know what maybe things I need to focus on differently. But save those somewhere and go back to them and allow yourself to remind yourself that there are people, there are seeds that you've planted that produce a crop that was 30, 60, or even 100 times as much as had been planted. The kingdom impact, the ripple effect that you are meant to make, is still meant to happen or continue. So do not let the enemy, do not let the birds, do not let the sun, do not let the thorns choke out these seeds that you've planted. Know that this is a normal part of the process, and that you must endure because of the seeds that are meant to create the ripple effect in this world. Okay? And I'm going to leave you with some last encouragement from Hebrews 11:1. And this is the craziest thing, guys, because both of these verses came into my life today without me knowing. And God does that with the living word, is he talks to you in ways that you need to hear. So every day I go through a different chapter of the Bible, and then I post my Jesus Calling on my Facebook. So if you follow me, you know that. And the verse in my Jesus Calling today was Hebrews 11:1. Now, faith is the assurance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. And I know that it's really easy to concentrate on the gap of all the things that aren't going well, all of the things that you feel like should have been further along by now. But I'm going to remind you to focus on the gain. What have you done? What have you learned? How have you impacted people? And I want you to recognize that if this desire is on your heart, then that is because the Lord put you there, especially if it is meant to serve more people. It's meant to better humankind. And so I want you to just know and have faith that he will take you to those places, but you have to stay in a higher vibration of love, joy, peace, gratitude, instead of the doubts and the fears and the worthlessness and the despair and all the things that the enemy wants us to get sucked into, to hold you back from where you want to go. Now, there are definitely times where we do need to adjust our strategy, which is why every single one of my Spiral Up students gets a 90-minute strategy session with me to kick it off so that I can start to see where their deficiencies are. I can start to see what things need to be adjusted. And I also can help cast a vision so that if you are still playing small, but I know that God has more in store for you, I can see that stuff. And so I get to show you what's possible, and I can show you the tools that are meant for you to help get you there, and the things that you might need to adjust or the things that you need to keep doing. And sometimes it's just as simple as having someone else outside of you, outside of your business, to look at it and to determine, hey, keep doing this, adjust this a little bit, stop doing this, and this is possible. So don't get me wrong. I don't want you to keep, banging your head up against the wall if you're not seeing any results. Like, there are things that you can do. But despite that, all of us, friends, all of us that know that God is calling us for more, really do have to make the decision to have faith even when it's hard. And to keep taking one step in front of the other and keep knowing that there are different seeds that are going to fall in different places. Stay the course, continue to get better, continue to learn, continue to meet the people who are going to make the difference, continue on the journey, keep spreading your seeds and trusting that the Lord is going to allow for them to be fruitful in their time, because you are meant for this. And if any of you guys are feeling like, oh my goodness, like I am stuck in this, I am definitely feeling like I'm having a hard time dreaming for this next season because I haven't gotten where I wanted to go and it's been really defeating, just literally go in the show notes, you guys, and book a breakthrough call with me. Let me look at what you have going on. Let me look at your barriers and your blind spots and help you to take some immediate action that's going to get you closer to where you want to be. And I am more than happy as your host, as your friend, to take you on that journey so that you can get to where you want to go faster, because goodness sakes, there are people who are literally praying for your help right now. All right. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. And even though this wasn't necessarily in alignment with like my normal end of the year, goal planning, like this is so important, because if you find yourself holding yourself back from even wanting to do that, like this is what the God wanted you to hear today. All right. Okay, you guys, I hope you have a great day, and I will see you inside of this podcast next week. Bye, everybody. So much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Each honest review helps me spiral up so that I can serve you even better. Whether you're feeling a lack of impact, income, or time freedom, or perhaps you're just ready for massive momentum in your business, let's chat. Apply for a breakthrough call so that you can gain clarity, identify what's holding you back, and make a plan to spiral up. Head on over to im-lifebydesign.com/breakthrough. or access the link in the show notes. For immediate support, plug into our community, the Better Club. We focus on inspiration, tactical guidance, and support. This is a community that wants to be better, do better, and have better in life and in business, and we're going to help you do the same. Let's spiral up, friends.